Welcome to the Rider's Edge podcast, a platform to share conversations about the health and wellness of horse and rider. I'm your host, Farley Schweigert. Hey y'all, it's Farley with the Rider's Edge podcast, and today I want to talk about the art of healing. This is something that is very important to me. I talk about this with clients all the time. I talk about this with my fellow colleagues. It is important to me as a practitioner. It is important to me as a healthcare consumer, both for myself, my family, and my horse. It is the art of healing, and the art of healing is so important. It's not black and white. It's very gray. It's what I believe separates good to fair therapists and great therapists. It is that it factor. It is that practitioner that is able to help navigate through the gray. That's what's fun about being a therapist, I feel like. That's what makes the job intriguing, is navigating the science with the human factor, navigating the science and the medicine for the individual. And it's the same with our horses as well. And it's a road. It's a road you have to navigate on as a practitioner. And it's so important. It is, and I tell patients this all the time: you know your body better than anybody else. And don't forget that. And be an advocate for yourself. If something is not right or you don't understand something, let's have a conversation until we get an answer. And that's hard. That's hard in our click it and go society. That is hard in the way the American healthcare system is set up. It is not set up that way. Our healthcare system is set up as a sick system. We respond to sickness and don't promote wellness and prevention. And it takes time and effort, and it takes the practitioner setting up a safe space to listen and allow the client to speak freely and feel safe and seen. And when that happens, a lot of healing can go on in just a small space. And it's scary, and it's being vulnerable, and it's being brave enough to step into that vulnerability and be seen and be heard, because that's all any of us want, is to be seen. It really is. And in healthcare, we want to be seen, and we want to be heard, and we want to be reassured, because if we're seeking healthcare, then something is not right, and that's scary. Even if it's a simple orthopedic issue, or it's a minor issue, but it's made a major disruption, and maybe it's something the first time you're dealing with being in the healthcare system, and it's unnerving. So finding that practitioner with that art of healing is so important. But it's also important as a healthcare consumer is to continue to expect that, and to continue to work with different people until you find your jam, until you find the people who work well with you. And that's an art. It is, in my opinion, it requires everybody checking their egos at the door, and that's super hard. Mainly because we're human. Even the most not egotistical person, they have an ego. And if you're in healthcare, you sometimes you have to develop one for different reasons, but we all have an ego. And so it's checking that ego at the door. It's checking that chip on the shoulder at the door. and coming into the space as just people and people trying to help people and creating a conversation to be had. Because if you don't understand something, that, in my opinion, is a huge linchpin in the whole puzzle. You need to understand key parts of it. That doesn't mean you need to be a medical expert if that's not your jam. Not at all. Now, I do have a belief that we should all take some basic anatomy in high school, because we all have to deal with our own anatomy and we should be a little more knowledgeable about it. But I also think you should be able to change a flat tire in high school and balance a checkbook. And so we can talk about those things on a different date. But as I digress, as I normally do, welcome to the podcast. Oh my goodness. But bringing it back around to topic and bringing my brain around to where I want to be in this conversation today. This really hit home for me because I was on the receiving end of this the other day as a consumer, and really more, it makes me crazy. Let's just stop right now. It makes me crazy when I'm on the receiving end of this for my own health care, and probably makes me even crazier when it's a family member, to the point that I end up managing their health care through other family members that are with them, and typically don't go in until needed. Because, and it's not, again, it's because of the way our system is set up. It is not it is not healthcare workers' fault. It is how the system is set up. It is a business. It is a livelihood as well. But it's a very broken system that it's very difficult to navigate, and becoming more challenging with the pandemic, that issues that are still going on and will for quite some time. But being on the receiving end of this for my horse the other day, just really, it does, I'll be honest, it didn't make me as crazy as it does when it happens on people, but I was able to stay a lot more level-headed about it because I do, because, and I'll tell you this, because I work so hard to create this space for my clients, and I just expect other people to do the same thing. And I keep learning that lesson over and over again because I haven't fully received it yet, because people, that's not how people work. But anyway, I had a horse, and after the procedure was done and we were getting discharged, he just wasn't right. He wasn't right, and I knew he wasn't right. And I was like, just give us a second. Let us go back to the stall and see if he'll drink some water, because he's not right. And so I put him back in, and he wasn't colicking. He was uncomfortable. Just he just he was uncomfortable with pain. Um, he was kind of foggy-eyed, very dull-eyed, and just not himself. And he hadn't drank, and he hadn't ate, and that's things sure not like him. And so I went back in and I said, "Hey, he's still not right. Can I, um, can I do this?" And the practitioner that was helping me was like, "Oh no, um, we need to give him some electrolyte paste to make him drink. We don't need to do this." And so we did. And that was total fine option to do in that situation. And as the practitioner was helping me, she said, I said, "Well, he's just not right, and I'm worried." At that point, I was concerned about him colicking, and I was trying to read him a little bit better. And she was like, "Oh no, he's fine. His physical checked out just fine." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I know this horse is not right. I know this horse. I know this horse very well. and I have a feeling, I have this feel, I need you to help have a conversation with me because I need your knowledge of things, but don't dismiss that even though what we did with this horse on the spectrum of things, of procedures, was minor. It wasn't minor to this horse, and he is having some pain and having some difficulty processing these things. That is the exception to the rule. The rule is that they come through this and they do this and they do that and they go home and things are fine and you give Butte for a little while and then we do the protocol of rehab and then everything just works out. Well, the equine factor in this situation said, no, this is not fine. My system is much more sensitive to this. I'm having a harder time, and um, I need to have a conversation with that. And so keep having a conversation. This is why it is so vital to have a team. It's so vital to have a team that you work with regularly, that is willing to have a conversation and willing to hold space for you to communicate and to be seen and to help you figure out what's going on. The horse is doing well now and coming out of everything, and um, this is just a teaching moment. This is not to um, badmouth anybody, because there was no bad medicine practiced, just some dismissal of things going on, and gosh, I hate being dismissed. I may not be right, and I don't think I'm right all the time by any means, but see me, hear me, and help me get to where I need to go, whether it's for me, a family member, or my horse. The art of healing, honestly, it's a lot like feel with horses. It's a lot like training horses. You either have that feel or you don't. If you do, you can develop it. You can take experiences that you have and gain more skills, more knowledge, more ability to navigate that space. If you don't have that feel, I'm learning that you can develop up to that threshold and you can work real hard on that and become the best practitioner that you can be. But it is I just think the art of healing, whether we're talking about veterinary medicine, physical therapy, healthcare in general, it's a lot like feel with our horses. It's a lot like training horses and working through those stages. And it's not something that is concrete. It is a very fluid situation. It's a very gray situation, but it is what separates the extraordinary. And healing happens in quiet, extraordinary moments of allowing somebody the space and the time and the quiet to express themselves. Taking time out to return their phone calls, taking time on the phone to allow them to ask all their questions and not feel scattered and not feel rushed. And that is so challenging. It's challenging for the practitioner because they're human. They're doing a job. They have a schedule. They have demands of the company that they're working for to hit their productivity numbers, because it is a business. They have to make money in order to stay open, in order to help people. And so it's just a cycle. It's such a cycle. And I just felt like it was important to talk about this on the podcast today. I have PT friends that I talk about this a lot with. In fact, I mean, several times a week, honestly, because working in the art of healing, being there, having that be part of your code, can lead for the therapist or the veterinarian, can lead to compassion fatigue, can lead to burnout when not managed properly. And that sometimes shows up to the client as being nonchalant, as not caring, and can set off a whole cascade of events that can lead to poor health outcomes, poor diagnostic outcomes. And so it's just something where we all need to be seen. We're all humans. And I hope that maybe this conversation will resonate across other parts of society, because working through the art of healing, taking that feel that we have with our horses and applying that to other parts, other daily conversations, other daily interactions with the grocery store clerk, the mechanic, anybody. Like, let's start using our feel and seeing people and allowing them to know they've been seen in order to help heal. We're very fractured and distracted right now, and it's everywhere. It is, and my solution to that right now is just this. It is sitting in the quiet and allowing you to be seen, allowing our horses to be seen. We don't do that enough with them. I've had, if you follow the podcast, you know that Chuck is a hot mess with his deep digital flexor tendon and forelimb lameness, and now I've got another hot mess horse. It's not Chuck. His name's Red, and my geriatrics and all the things. Well, anyway, longer story short, there's been a lot of vet bills, a lot, and I think we get irritated that, boy, I hate having these vet bills when they're not earning their keep. And those words have come out of my mouth. Boy, I hate having these vet bills when we're not even, really going down the road right now. Well, I was driving one day and I thought about that with my horses, and I thought, what if that was said about me? What if somebody said, boy, I really hate that I'm having to help her through her pain when she's not being productive, when she's not doing what, earning her keep. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not seeing my horses, because we have to work through these problems to get to our goals. So it doesn't matter that they're not going down the road at all. They need to be seen and dealt with and taken care of. And of course, that's a little bit different. We can't sit there. Some days I would love to sit there with Chuck and be like, hey, let's have a conversation. But it's the same principle. So I was like, oh, I need to see them, because our horses get in the trailer because we ask them to. Our horses run down the alley because we ask them to. They don't get up in the morning and say, oh boy, I hope I go run around 3 stationary objects today. Oh boy, I hope I go run down that steer and make him turn left, or run down the middle of the pen and spin both directions. They don't think that. They do those things because they love us, and they're incredible creatures, and we ask them to. We spent time with them in training, and we ask them to perform for us. So I don't know, with Martin Luther King Day being this week and everything that's going on with our country and with our healthcare systems, because this being seen it was tight and crunched before COVID got here and not working well, and it's working even less because our system is so overwhelmed with the pandemic. And so I just challenge you to see your neighbor, see the stranger at the next gas station pump, see that clerk, see your kid's teacher, your horseshoer, and just hold space for them and allow them to be seen and spread some kindness. And I think that will go a long way. That's my small solution and my hope and my light in a very harsh world. It's my light in practicing healthcare. It's my light in education and in podcasting and with my horses. And I hope it can be yours too. So thank you for joining me on this conversation today. I hope it brought some space and some healing to you and your connections. So thank you for your time and attention, and I will see you down the road. Thank you for listening to Rider's Edge Podcast. For show notes and other thoughts, head over to ridersedgetherapy.com. If you would like to stay connected and continue the conversation, head over to my free Facebook group, Rider's Edge Health and Wellness for Horse and Rider. Thanks for continuing the conversation, and as always, I will see you down the road.